But let's move into the next topic, and we are going to welcome on our patron, John Woodson. I do want to keep saying John Wooden, just looking at your name, John, but we'll keep it into the NBA side, and we'll call you Mike Woodson. We're going to talk about the NBA prospects, and again with John, if you haven't checked out his segment last month with Ricky and Dave, they did a great segment on NBA sleepers. It's still relevant. Go back and check it out. But today we're talking about someone who might have been a sleeper last year, but now is definitely on everybody's radar, especially if you're coming from the tournament. You saw the Marquette Murray State update. Ja Morant, he's been a guy that's been in our top 3 since day one, since mock draft number 1. And now we are just being able to show this to the national media. And now we want to talk about where he fits on a team because, we look at this and we're always talking about, the Suns and Bulls need him. And he's a great fit for them. But where is he going to do the best in his career? If he's drafted to a certain place, how will he do? And that's what we're going to be talking about. What is the best fit for Ja Morant in the NBA? And that's pretty much going to be stuck to lottery teams because we look at it, and with the lottery changing, Cleveland has a very high chance of getting the number 1 pick. Phoenix, New York all have 14%. Chicago, 12.5%. Atlanta, 10.5%. Dallas, Atlanta, 9%. But even all the way down to the Lakers, they have a 13.9% to be in the top 4. So that can mean
even the Sixers have a 0.5% chance.
That's true.
Of getting the number 1 overall pick. They probably wouldn't take Ja with that pick, but
well, no team will. But if you look at the top 4, I mean, there's a 9.4% chance that Minnesota ends up in the top 4. That can mean top 2, and that's where we're looking at Ja Morant right after Zion Williamson. So let's talk about the teams in the lottery. That includes, Boston with Sacramento's pick or the 76ers, Orlando, Charlotte, Minnesota, Los Angeles Lakers, New Orleans, Washington, Memphis, Atlanta via Dallas. Dallas would get that if it is top 2. Atlanta, again, with their own pick, Chicago, Cleveland, Phoenix, and New York. Let's talk about which place would best fit Ja Morant. So let's disregard fit and let's look at the actual culture. Let's look at the actual team. Which place will help Ja Morant the most and help him become a star? John, we're going to start off with you. I first want to ask you, because I know we were talking a little bit about Zion before we started, and you were praising him like everyone has. Where do you sit on Ja Morant as a prospect? You're saying you put together mock drafts. Where do you have him going in your mock draft?
Oh, I have him going second, regardless of team.
Ooh, regardless of team. I like that. So you don't have a problem with him playing next to Colin Sexton like I don't.
Well, it depends how you approach it. I approach it differently. I think if you're a top 3 pick, your talent level supersedes fit. I think that you're a franchise player and a team should select you based on your talent and build around you.
I 100% agree. And that's what I've been trying to say to Ricky and Dave. I mean, I think Colin Sexton,
comment section.
And the comment section. Looking at, Colin Sexton, he wasn't, 8th overall pick, and that's huge, but I mean, Ja Morant could be a superstar walking in. Colin Sexton's going to need time to get there, I feel, if he ever gets there. Ja Morant might walk in and post a triple-double right away. We don't know. But I'm not going to give him that much credit. But, I mean, he's going to be a guy that puts up his numbers right away. I think you cannot pass him if you think he is the best player. If you think RJ is the best player, then obviously go with it. Go with your own rankings. But if you think Ja Morant's the best player, take him in the top 3. But let's look at least the fit. And John, what place in the lottery do you think he is going to fit best for his career?
I think Phoenix and Orlando, and probably Chicago is close third.
All right. Dave, looking at Phoenix, Chicago, and the teams that John said, which team do you think is one of the best fits for him?
I'm just going to get Chicago out of the way right off the bat. I'm going to leave that for Ricky. So just leave your hot takes for Ricky, Chicago. I think the Phoenix fit would actually be really nice because it adds in a pure playmaker. Ja Morant has amazing court vision. He's able to pass out of both hands, lefty or righty. He's super creative. It's weird because he's a right-handed player, but his passes with the left, like he does underhooks, he does straight up like slide passes. Like he just get extremely creative with that. And I think that him having a coach in Igor who we know his systems in the past have been so dependent on having a creative playmaker that I think that they would actually have a pretty instant amount of success by adding in an actual legitimate point guard to that team, Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. That combo would be one of the best young trios in the NBA. Like everybody was so hopeful for, Minnesota's trio, Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns. They're old news. Obviously things did not pan out the right way. but Devin Booker's still amazing. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. I think DeAndre Ayton is putting up like 16 and 10 on crazy efficiency without having a point guard. And if you add Ja Morant to that trio, that is absolutely disgusting and an absolute recipe for an offensive success.
And let's talk about Phoenix first, just because I was having this conversation yesterday with a couple friends, and one of them was saying that Ja and Devin Booker would not fit next to each other because Devin Booker works best with the ball in his hands. We'll go to John. I just want to get your sense of that. Do you think that Ja Morant and Devin Booker would clash with one another? Because you do think it's one of the better fits for him. Do you have that worry that they might clash with one another?
Devin Booker is one of the best shooters in the league. He's a very good spot-up shooter. I don't think they would clash at all. Devin Booker's been forced to do a lot of playmaking and ball handling now, but to take that off on him and just be able to outright score and probably, help, on defense a little more, it would help Devin Booker's career. There's no overlap. It'd be like Chris Paul and James Harden.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, maybe not to the James Harden, Chris Paul level, but I think at least with the 3-point shooting percentage and at least the working off ball 100%, because that's what Devin Booker was in college, was a spot up shooter, and he shot 41% from three. And if you're saying you're giving Devin Booker wide open looks, whether he's creating those himself or he's getting that from a pass from Ja Morant cross quarter, DeAndre Ayton passing out of the low post, when a double team's collapsing on him, he's going to hit that shot. So that's what I was trying to, push to my friends, but when they think Devin Booker's got 7 assists, that means that he's a great point guard. I look at the Suns and I think that that's probably the best place for him to play, just because I think the spacing is going to be there. But I said that, and Ricky kind of made a grimace. So where do you think the best place for him is?
It's not the absolute best. The one thing I will say was, because the Suns are to me, there's only two teams: the Suns, and then obviously the team I'm going to say in a second. But the thing I was thinking about, kind of to take John's comparison and raise it up a level, if the Suns had Ja Morant, I could see Devin Booker and Ja kind of being like their own version of Russ and KD, where KD was a guy where you can give him the ball, he can work with the ball, but was he going to be the main ball handler? No, Russ was going to be the main ball handler. And they could kind of do, not saying it's the exact same, because obviously KD is taller and bigger than Devin Booker, but you can do the same thing with that, where Ja would be your main ball handler, but if the game was on the line, who are you going to give the ball to? Either of them, but Devin Booker would be your first choice.
I know we're getting too much into pro comparisons here, but I think that's not a terrible comp, but I think you could probably just do it with two guards and probably say it's going to be more like John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal.
Which one would you rather be compared to? John Wall, Bradley Beal, or Russ and KD, or
which one's more accurate?
Yeah, I mean,
nobody wants to be compared to John Wall.
That means you're not on the court.
Hey, I don't know if you're saying to Ja Morant that he's going to get paid $47 million when he's 34 years old. I don't think he's going to say no to that.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
But I think Phoenix is definitely an interesting one. What was the second team though?
The Bulls. The Bulls are the number one clear fit. That and yes, I am coming in
as a Bulls fan,
rose-colored glasses.
You're
those
a Bulls fan?
Red-colored glasses. But to me, there is only two prospects I want in this draft for the Bulls: Zion if we get number 1, and Ja if we get number 2. Because if this team gets Ja, the way I see him fitting with Zach, Lowry, Otto Porter, Wendell Carter, we're not going to be probably playoffs the first year, but our future looks bright. That future looks so bright. And then we just got to get the right coach. Okay. And that's the thing that Phoenix has over us. They have a coach. We don't.
Are you saying Jim Boylan isn't our answer?
You know what? Ever since the late of the year, they've been playing good, and it's weird. But no, Jim Boylan is not the future.
Here's the thing I'll say with the Bulls. And you're saying that you like the fit because of personal reasons, clearly. But how does he fit with that starting lineup? Because I think one thing that you can say with Zach, and it doesn't work with Devin Booker, is that I think Zach does need the ball in his hands to be dangerous, where I think, like we were talking earlier, Devin Booker does not need that. And if you're taking the ball away from Zach LaVine, who right now is a plus 20-point game scorer, and you're moving him off ball again like he was in Minnesota, where he wasn't this type of player. He was a very good starter. Obviously, he was putting up 18 points as the third
shooting
player.
Incredibly well as the third option on a team.
But he's never had a point guard, though, of the caliber that Ja Morant could be. He had Tyus Jones in Minnesota, and now he's got Chris Dunn.
Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
Was a fantastic passer,
I would say Ricky Rubio got better after he left Minnesota. The Ricky Rubio we've seen in Utah is better than the one
I
we
don't
saw
disagree with that, but
in Minnesota.
But Ricky was still a great passer.
Yeah,
and
he's
a
an incredible
facilitator.
passer. He wasn't able to space the floor as well. But no, I think that LaVine has proven that he's good without the ball in his hands to that extent earlier in his career. I think Zach's pretty much just a scuffed version of Devin Booker, so I don't see any problems with the fit there.
I'm saying more of the fact that I think Devin Booker can still be an all-star with the ball not in his hand every single possession, where I don't think Zach will be to that level. I think Zach is still going to be a great starter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's going to be all of a sudden become ass and start scoring like 15 points a game on terrible shooting. I think that it's just going to be harder for him to get his, and I think do you really want to take that away from it? Maybe he becomes more efficient and the offense becomes more efficient. And that's great. And I think that they are still a top 3 fit. I would personally probably put Phoenix number 1 just because I love the 2-guard fit of Morant, Booker, and then obviously just seeing a pick and roll with Ja Morant and DeAndre Ayton would be absolutely nasty.
Yeah.
I think Chicago
you got
probably
Jackson on the wing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Jackson on the wing, he's crazy athletic.
Yeah, it's true. And even TJ Warren, who they just extended, and Mikal Bridges too. I mean, you're gonna have great wings out there.
They re-signed Kelly Oubre. Like they've got a really deep team. But the thing comes down to, like, do you think that fit is better off than the Bulls fit? Because I'm so close to pulling the trigger on saying the Suns is better. Like I like their wing depth better.
One of the main reasons why I also think the Bulls is better is, I'll ask you this: which team, and I kind of want to say take conference out of it because the Suns are kind of behind a bigger 8 ball than the Bulls would be, but put Ja on the team, which team is making consistent playoff runs the quickest? The Bulls with Ja or the Suns with Ja?
Well, it's different.
Only Chicago because they're in the East.
Well,
Phoenix has a tougher competition.
And that's the one thing I was like, of course the Bulls have an easier road. They're in the East.
And not even that, I think they're just a more talented team. Because you have LaVine, who's near an all-star, and Markkanen, when healthy, is a 20-10 guy. You assume that Wendell Carter, a top 10 pick, is going to be a very good center for you. And you look at Chris Dunn, who is also a top 10 pick, who will probably go to a bench role if they do draft Ja Morant. You got to look at Otto Porter as well. Otto Porter has been fantastic for the Chicago Bulls. So it's a much more talented team than Phoenix.
I think they're pretty close. I honestly do. Come on, when you pair it up, you go straight up. You go Devin Booker versus Zach LaVine. Everyone's going to take Devin Booker. Yeah. At the 3, if you want to put up either Oubre, Jackson, Mikal versus Porter, and then at the 4 you got Markkanen versus Warren or Jackson.
I'll take Markkanen.
And then 5, Ayton is going to win over Wendell Carter.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that it's a very narrow thing there, but the Suns have had talent in the past, and they've never been able to do anything with it. Obviously, the last couple of years, it's been that lack of depth at the point guard position, and we want to point the finger and say that's why you can't win. You don't have a point guard. But the question is do you think that whether they've had all that talent or not? I still think they've underperformed. Regardless, I think that Phoenix team has been a lottery team for forever, and their lack of production, even with talent, concerns me. So I wonder if adding Ja Morant, you're still not going to get over the hump.
So you think that, I mean, obviously adding him right away is going to be tough to overcome the hump in year 1 in the Western Conference. But you think it's going to be tough for them to overcome, like, you don't think talent can overcome that just mess that is the front office of Phoenix?
I question coaching because we've been through multiple coaches. I question the front office, same thing. It's just something about that team hasn't been able to kind of hit its groove over the past 5 years. And you just start to wonder, like, can you put the right pieces next to Devin Booker to actually make them win games? All
right, let's bring this to John then. So John, if you're looking at the landscape of Phoenix, do you think it is possible that possibly Ja Morant just doesn't work there just because of what Phoenix is, or do you think the talent of Phoenix, if they have Morant, Booker, Ayton, and the plentiful wings that they do have, can overcome the landscape that is Phoenix?
No, I think Ja Morant makes anything work. I think if he were on Phoenix in 2 or 3 years, he could be the second best player. I think if he was Chicago in 2 years, he'd be the best player for Chicago. I think he'd take either team over them.
Who do you think would be the best player on Phoenix? Do you think it'd be Ayton or Booker?
Booker.
Okay. I think that it's interesting just because both teams obviously aren't great when it comes to the front office. We're obviously, as you guys being Chicago Bulls fans, you've been complaining about Garpax forever. Robert Sarver is one of the worst owners in the NBA for the Phoenix Suns. They currently don't have a GM. They have an interim GM in James Jones who just got out of the league, so not a ton of experience there, and they're looking to even hire John Paxson. He was one of the guys that was getting an interview. So I think both would be a mess. But again, talent-wise, both teams would be incredible if they've drafted Ja Morant. Let's get away from those teams, though, because Phoenix and Chicago, we've always talked about them going because they need a point guard. But is it, look outside the point guard need and what places, like roster-wise and then also maybe culture-wise, would fit for Ja Morant? Like, do you think he'd be a good fit in New York if they end up getting the 2 spot and Zion obviously isn't there?
Yeah, if they're at the 2, I'd be tempted to take him. But I go back to, like, how much do they believe in their free agency plan? I don't know that he is that much ahead of RJ Barrett on their boards to say, well, if we take Ja Morant, what happens if our plan is always to get Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant in here? Ja Morant doesn't fit on that team. So I would be hesitant to put him above RJ Barrett if I were the Knicks, because I think RJ Barrett works regardless of those 2 guys that they pick up, regardless of anybody else free agency wise that they've been rumored to be looking at. I think RJ just is a safer fit. Like, he's scheme agnostic. Like, it doesn't matter where you put him. RJ will be RJ, I feel. I think Ja really needs to hit a team that can utilize him and all of his abilities. So I would look past the Knicks if they got bumped out of that number 1 spot.
I've got a sleeper one. And by sleeper one, I mean, like, they've got a less than 5% chance at the number 1 and only a 20% chance right now at a top 4 pick. What about the Pelicans? They're a team that, let's say they get a top 3 pick. Let's say they get the 2 pick, or it's, let's say, anybody New York and then the Pelicans. Because like Dave was saying, New York could still at 2 go, no, we've got our point guards. We're going to go RJ over a Ja, and then Ja falls to 3. This is a team that still has Anthony Davis. It has Drew Holiday, who we've seen before when he was paired. I know Rondo was different, but when point guard, hey, we're going to move Drew over the 2. This could be something where if they get Ja, put Ja at the 1, Drew at the 2. Then if you start winning games, if Anthony Davis is still playing games at the beginning, because, hey, look, we got a good player for you. Let's see how this rolls. Maybe gets Anthony Davis to buy back in to New Orleans. I know that's a lot, but just play with it for a second. If you get Julius Randle back after he declines his player op, that could be something for the Pelicans, getting Ja Morant on that team.
I don't think there's a way you keep Anthony Davis at all. I think he's worn his welcome both as a player and just in that city. So I think if you're getting rid of, if you're drafting, no matter what, Anthony Davis is not a Pelican. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he wants to stay there, and I don't think he's going to be around for a long time. And that's whether you draft, Ja Morant, he plays fantastically. I think, though, pairing him with Drew Holiday would definitely be interesting, but it definitely will have to rely on who they pick up in free agency to score on that team. Because Ja Morant, might come in and average 15 to 12 points, and Drew's decent for about 18, probably at his best. But I don't know who's going to be the actual go-to scorer on that team, and that would concern me. Should we bring up the Lakers? Because there is thought about it. There is a chance, 13.9% chance that they have a top 4 pick. Let's go to John. John, I know you're more of an East Coast guy, but you definitely know the name LeBron James and the fact that he's missing the playoffs for the first time since 2004, 2005. So what do you think about Ja Morant there for Los Angeles? Let's say that RJ Barrett's off the board. Let's say that Zion's off the board. They get the top 3 pick. Would it be a mess if the Lakers took Ja Morant?
Oh, the Lakers are a mess, and it shouldn't be a mess. But, I answer it for everybody. Everybody would take Ja Morant. There's only 30 teams have equal chance of getting a number 2 pick. And there's probably only the Warriors, the Rockets, if Kyrie stays in Boston. So there's 26 teams that would take Ja Morant over RJ Barrett. So, I think that any team that you name other than those 3, maybe a possible 4, they're going to take Ja Morant over RJ Barrett. He's that good.
Do you think he'd just be used as a trade piece, though? Because obviously the whole thing for Los Angeles would be, to get Anthony Davis. The question would be then to you, if you're the Lakers, who would you rather have building around LeBron James? Would it be Ja Morant, or Anthony Davis?
Number one, the NBA is a business. They're there to make money.
It's true.
Anybody who's smart in the NBA who wants to make money, you don't trade a player with a 40-inch vertical, no matter what. You're going to sell tickets. You're going to sell jerseys. You're going to be on primetime TV. Any player or Ja Morant's talent level, you're not going to trade. You're going to sell those tickets and build a team around them.
So you don't think you could get Wiggins out of this deal? Like, because that's exactly what I would see. I think that if the Lakers ended up with the number 2 pick, they could absolutely turn around and be like, so let's renegotiate that deal for Anthony Davis. Like, we can give you the number 2 pick in the draft plus, a couple of guys who've been regent pickups by the Lakers. I don't know that his timeline fits LeBron James's, even though I think that would mean it's an amazing pair. Like, being able to have Ja Morant out there play with LeBron James would be awesome. Their fast break game would be insane.
Right.
But I think that his value is so high that that would be like the ultimate leverage, and it would be used exactly like, Wiggins for Kevin Love. It would be the same thing in this case.
So I just want to throw this out there. Of course, he could be put into a deal with Anthony Davis if they do keep Lonzo, though. Because Ja, there's a lot of people saying that he's got a lot of combo to him. Could you run a Lonzo at the point, Ja at the 2 as your combo guard, and then LeBron out there also?
One's got to go, in my opinion. At least offensively, they play too similar. John, jump in.
I think Josh Hart's better than Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
They'd move Lonzo Ball in a three-way trade any day.
That actually could be
out there that would do it. Phoenix would do it. Orlando would do it. If they don't get the second pick, they get the third pick, and they end up taking R.J. Barrett. They still need a point guard. I think Orlando and Phoenix will go for it.
Yeah, I think that with Lonzo, not only is he probably not a great fit next to LeBron, he is a great defender, and he's their best defender for sure. But offensively, he's not a great fit next to him. I think the biggest thing though would be the age. You look at him, and I think Lonzo is older than Ja Morant. Even if they're the same age, they do have. You'll have Ja under contract for longer. So that would
I wonder
be a
if they
thing.
would flip it then and take Ja Morant and then move Lonzo Ball out of town.
That's what I was saying.
That.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
and I think that'd be interesting. And let's say even if they do move him, and they move him for Anthony Davis, he's going to end up like a Pelican, like Ricky was saying. He liked the fit. Is there a team he does not fit with? Is there a team in this lottery that does not fit with? Would it be Washington?
I was gonna say Atlanta. I love Atlanta. I love Trae Young. So I don't think that I would want the ball out of his hands, or I don't think I would try to draft another point guard who hasn't shown elite outside shooting to pair with him. I think there are some other guards you can pair with him, but I don't think Ja Morant and Trae Young's play styles would work very well. I think Washington, I would have no problem because
especially because he's hurt.
John Wall's hurt for the majority of this year. So I'm already writing this year off. If he comes back all-star break-ish, that'd be great. But minus that, you get a full run here with Ja Morant and Bradley Beal out there. And at that point, you can figure out, what is it going to take to move this team forward. And it gives you the best prospect in the draft outside of Zion Williamson. I don't think you pass up because you're stuck with the worst contract in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. John, where do you feel that he would not fit in the NBA?
Atlanta, I agree with Atlanta. Golden State, Houston, Portland, teams with all-star caliber point guards.
Do you think basically anybody else in the lottery though up for grabs, just because he's that good?
Yeah, he's going second for a reason. So a team at 8, they want the second best player in the draft, no question. It just happens to be Ja Morant this year.
I think at least looking at it, I still wouldn't be too thrilled with the Washington pickup. If we're looking at them at 2, I think that RJ would probably be more of a better fit for them.
Oh, yeah.
Just for his ability to drive, Beal's ability to shoot from the outside. It also takes off ball handling duties from Bradley Beal. It's not like he's a bad ball handler, but also
he's been putting up 28, but 5 and 6 or something.
I think it makes it easier for him and it'll make him more efficient. And I think RJ is, a very talented passer as is. It's going to be more of a natural fit than, him and John Wall, because then both guys will at least be able to do their ball handling duties, still be able to run the offense, still be able to score, still be able to slash, and still be able to dish out to an elite scorer and Beal or Barrett. I think that Washington, if they're picking 2, I don't see why you would take Ja Morant, just because, again, you are paying John Wall $47 million. I know that fit doesn't matter when you're picking top 3, like John said, but at least looking at the construction of the roster, I think that does at least matter a little bit. If like the Warriors were picking 2, you wouldn't be taking them because you have Steph Curry. Obviously, that's not happening in this universe.
I totally would. If the Warriors magic their way up to the number 2 pick in this draft,
which is impossible,
I would absolutely take him.
Why?
Because they need a bench point guard.
You're gonna draft Ja Morant and put him on the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the question?
Dave,
you run a 6-man. You can basically put him in as a 6-man lineup because you're replacing Chandra Livendala, the greatest 6-man ever.
And you want to know how they get up there? Lakers get the 2, sign and trade Klay Thompson to the Lakers. Boom.
All right.
Klay Thompson isn't worth the 2nd overall pick.
You're right. He's worth more than that.
You think if Charlotte landed that high, they would make a move like that, knowing that Kemba's on the line?
Cost effective.
Yeah, but
they wouldn't have to re-sign their point guard currently.
But I think with Kemba, though, with that, I mean, you're going to re-sign him not because of the fit for Kemba and who you're trying to go with. I mean, Kemba, I think he's got to be nearing the dirt.
They're cap tight.
Yes, but they could still go over the cap because they have Kemba's birds.
Right, but it's still the question of, like, does that scare him off from being like, yeah, no, I was on the fence about coming back to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. Now I'm definitely taking the contract somewhere else.
Yes, but if Kemba wants to come back, I think you re-sign him. Mm. I mean, he's got to be looked at as probably the best player in Charlotte Hornet history. Just what he's done for that franchise and what he's done over a long career. Because someone might look at the peak of Larry Johnson or Lonzo Mourning as higher than Kemba Walker, but they did not have the longevity that Kemba had in Charlotte. So I think that would be the biggest thing for them. I think if he wants to come back, you let him come back. And if that means you play, Ja Morant off the bench, you play Ja Morant off the bench, or if you try to work them into 2-guard.
Kemba at the 2-guard.
Yeah, 2-guard starting lineup, then you do that. But I think that the worst one would probably be Washington in my mind. Because even you look at Memphis, I think Memphis would be a good fit. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. would be nasty, and then you have a mentor in Mike Conley. That would be absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. Even with Atlanta, I know that people are, you guys are saying that.
Dude, it's Trae Young. Like, as much as you want to crap on that kid.
Well, here's the thing.
He's been amazing as the years gone on.
Getting the top 2 would be extremely tough because they only have that one shot at 42.1% because they don't have that Dallas chance. Mm-hmm. Right. And even if they get that 2, like you're looking at the Trae Young thing, I would still say that their best option might just be to trade back because then you're just loading up more assets and then you have the ability to just take on other players. I don't think it'd be a bad fit for Ja Morant. So I think that would probably. I mean, I don't want to crap on the same thing.
What about if Dallas got the 2 though?
Oh, could he pair with
Dallas
Luka?
or Ja and Luka? I think that'd be interesting because I don't think Luka's not a player where it's like he's our point guard. Like, he's the only one. It wouldn't be bad having 2 ball handlers like Luka and Ja on the same team.
No, I mean, look at what Jalen Brunson and Luka did together. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be a fantastic pick for Dallas.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how their offense would really run at that point, because Luka is so good with the ball in his hands as a creator, but he, like you said, he's also not 100% reliant to have that ball being forced into his hands. So, I don't know, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Luka should have the ball in his hand. I don't think they should pair him with the point guard. I think Luka should be surrounded with all types of shooters and rebounders. Luka's an amazing player. He's going to supersede what we think about him.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fair to say, like, I could see Luka with a similar situation. Like, what we always describe as, like, LeBron's ideal situation is just give him a bunch of shooters and wing perimeter defenders. That's ideal. Luka, I could see fitting a very similar team need, trying to fill a team around him like that, not wanting the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
Final thing that I think we can cover with Ja Morant is I think that this guy's probably going to come in the league and dominate probably right away. But if we're looking at one skill that he doesn't have and needs to develop, well, what do you think that is, John?
Experience. I don't think he has. I haven't seen any limitations. He's too young, and I can't say I've seen anything. Height. We can't grow, and he doesn't have experience. I think that's it. And here's the question for Ricky and Dave. Mm-hmm. Ja Morant, next his rookie season, worse or better than Derrick Rose?
Why are you putting that on us?
I actually sent a tweet to Dave where I saw someone say, when I watch John Morant, I see a lot of young Derrick Rose.
Hold on here. Let me pull up Derrick Rose's stats because Derrick Rose was Rookie of the Year.
No, not stats. Don't overplay the stats.
Okay.
Come on.
Well, if you're not playing... wait. I will say you got to
use your eyes to analyze basketball.
Okay, but if you're asking Ricky,
if it's the eye test, yes.
Hold on. If you're asking,
no, because the only thing that counts in the NBA is wins and losses.
Hold on, but the only thing I will say with that is if you're asking Ricky Widmer to do the eye test, he's gonna pick Derrick Rose because this guy is the biggest homer you've ever met in your life. So that's the only reason why I was gonna bring up stats is to actually bring up some facts.
Well, all right, how about this? You ask this question to Ricky. Mm-hmm. Worse or better, Ja Morant in a Bulls uniform versus Derrick Rose?
Who would you rather as your starting point guard next year?
You get to picture Ja Morant in a Bulls uniform.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ja Morant. You want to know why? You want to know why? I don't see Ja's knees giving out on him. I don't see that injury happening.
He doesn't.
But here,
rookie season, though. Rookie season.
And I think you make a good point, though, because I'm pulling up the Bulls roster from the year that Derrick Rose was a rookie, and you look at it, our two guards were Captain Kirk and Ben Gordon. Then we had Luol Deng at the 3. Then Joakim was at the 5. This is a team where, like, Joakim, second year in the league, just like Wendell Carter. You've got Ben Gordon, who was a fourth-year pro at that point, kind of similar to the Zach LaVine thing. We've got Luol Deng was in his fourth year as a pro. Like, Ja could come into the Bulls and do a similar thing that Derrick Rose did because the teams, age-wise, are similar.
You think he could flip their record pretty much?
Yeah,
I think he could.
D-Rose flipped it. It had a smaller flip to go from fourth in the NBA Central to where the Bulls are now. They were 33 and 49, and then they went to 41 and 41 and made the playoffs. Lost in the first round to Boston in 7. I'm surprised you took Ja Morant there just because Derrick Rose being the Chicago kid coming off. I mean, you didn't know what Derrick Rose's knees were going to do as a rookie.
Yeah, well,
year, hindsight's
always 20/20, but also, I mean,
there was something magic about D Rose as a rookie.
The league is also totally different. And with Derrick Rose, though, it is like Dave said. There's something about him. Like, it was totally different. And what did Derrick Rose do? He made a championship-like run in the NCAA tournament. We'll see if Ja has the same thing in him.
I mean, if he does that, that's going to be historic as a 12 seed.
They both come from non-Power 5 schools.
Yeah,
Memphis.
Memphis is higher than Murray State.
Yeah, and Memphis I also think was a top 5 seed, right?
Yeah, that was California before it went to Kentucky.
So
the
thing I will bring up, though, is if we're bringing up D. Rose and Ja Morant, will Ja Morant ever be an MVP in the league?
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't think so.
On the
People
right
love
team.
triple doubles. Like how much?
Well, not anymore. Russ killed the triple double.
Well, people want to compare him. Like the lazy comparison that I've heard, other than Derrick Rose, is Russell Westbrook, just because of the athleticism, the ability to close it up or to go up at the rim level. Like he has everything from a finisher standpoint. He lands horribly, which scares the crap out of me at times. So.
And he has a better 3-point shot than Derrick Rose.
He does have a much better 3-point shot than D Rose. So.
Well, yeah, John, you were gonna say something about the MVP thing. What's your take on that?
I think there's too much talent in the league. I don't think Ja Morant's going to win the MVP. But that doesn't mean he won't be as good of a player as Derrick Rose was. Derrick Rose coming across the half-court line, there wasn't a player or a team that could keep him from laying the ball off the backboard.
Yeah, and I think that Ja Morant has shown that in college, but I don't think it's to the extent that Derrick Rose was. And especially, we saw D Rose do that time in time out against top level competition where he was great against Marquette. Don't get me wrong, and Ja Morant was good against Alabama. He was good against Auburn. We still haven't seen that next level.
He's pretty much matched
talent,
every challenge that's come across him, and the big thing against him is still his turnovers, but. You can't argue, like, when you watch him play, he gets the job done every which way. Like, his offensive skill set is just elite at this level. It's just a question of when he hits that next level, can he keep the ball under control? Can he keep a clear head and make sure he just keeps those turnovers down to a minimum?
The question, though, that you haven't answered is who would you be more excited for, Derrick Rose or Ja Morant in a Bulls uniform?
You seem to have found my me hiding away from that question. I was hoping to pass that. I'm going to say Ja Morant. I'm going to say Ja Morant because Ja Morant can do things Derrick Rose couldn't. Like, and it goes both ways. Like, nobody can float in the air the way D Rose does going to the hoop, but John Morant as a facilitator is on the next level. And I think that's the big thing. I'm looking forward to having someone who can come in and truly run an offense at a high level. So I'm going John Morant.
All right. Again, I'm shocked that you guys, both Chicago kids,
I love Derrick Rose, but we've already had Derrick Rose.
Ja Morant. So obviously he can run an offense. Obviously he has a better shot than a D Rose does. But we're saying he can't be an MVP. So what's his ceiling then, John? In your mind?
I said he could, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well, John, you said he couldn't. So what do you think is Ja Morant's ceiling, and then we'll end it there.
Ceiling as far as like a player or points, or is it what, MVP or championship?
Well, I mean, what do you think is his top is? Like, do you think it's going to be like, all-star player? Do you think it's going to be like second team All-NBA, first team All-NBA, fringe MVP? Let's take championships out of it because I don't think that really defines the ceiling of a player. Obviously, it takes LeBron James and LeBron versus MJ. That's obviously going to decide it. But at least when we're talking about like just individual performance, like can he lead a team so much to where he's going to be in MVP conversations, or is he going to just be a great player in the
like a top
in the
20
league?
Player?
Yeah, or is he just going to be like a top 20 player, or is he going to be overlooked like maybe like a Damian Lillard?
I think in 5 years he'll be a perennial All-NBA player.
Damn.
I think that he'll always be in the MVP conversation. And championship depends on the front office and the luck that teams have in the draft. I don't think individual players have that much influence whether they win a championship in their career or not.
I 100% agree with that because Ricky's always said, is it with Russell Westbrook that Russell Westbrook's never going to win an NBA title?
Yeah, he's never going to win one.
Yeah, which is just like, it's nonsense in my mind.
Russell Westbrook is his own worst enemy. He's not an efficient player.
No, he's definitely not.
His hype is greater than his talent level because he has his own faults.
So, and I mean, Ja Morant and Russell Westbrook's always a popular comparison. Do you find that to be an apt comparison between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. Athletically, well, I think that Ja Morant, he has a better outside shot. Ja Morant has the potential to be better than Westbrook. Potential to be better than Derrick Rose in his prime. And
that's because you don't think he has those self-destructive tendencies that Russ does?
I don't think anyone except for John Wall has self-destructive tendencies like Westbrook. Maybe Draymond Green.
Yeah.
But no, I think he can be better than those two players. Just because he has his outside shot. He's not knocking him down at a high level, but I think his potential would be an over 40% shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also what type of 3-point shot are you taking? Is it the open look? Is it coming around a screen? Is it off ball with a step back? But I think that he has a talent level to create his own 3-point shot and make it fast breaks. Will be one of the best in the NBA. Just all around player, great facilitator. Hopefully he can get into those passing lanes and be like an AI defender. And, beef up a little bit and be a little bit of an on-ball defender. I think, it'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, I think.
And when you guys are done, I have another question for you, test you on how much you love Ja Morant.
All right, we'll do. We'll end the segment on that. Dave, final question from me is going to be ceiling of Ja Morant. What do you think it is?
I'd probably say a top 10 player in the NBA. Like it's just he has such a versatile offensive kit. Like I was saying earlier, there's not much that he can't grow into, and I think that he literally there's just not a bunch that he can't do. So when it comes to team fit, will make the biggest difference in his career. As long as he lands on a team that can utilize him, I think he literally sky's the limit.
Ricky, I actually like this is gonna be my final question, and then we're gonna bring it back around. Who would you rather have, Trae Young or Ja Morant? Because watching them, they're both very skilled passers. I think Trae Morant.
I'll take Trae Morant.
Trae has
or Ja Young.
Trae's a better passer. I think that Ja's obviously better going to the rim. Trae's a better shooter, but we look at the numbers for Ja Morant. He possibly could develop into a good shooter. Maybe not to the levels of Trae Young, but also I think Ja Morant's gonna be a better defender. So who would you rather have? Because I know you're a big Trae Young fan. You
know what? I love Ja, but I can't stray away from my boy. I think I would go Trae Young just because of my love for Steph Curry and what the comparison for Trae Young to Steph Curry will never leave my mind.
Dave, Trae Young, Ja Morant.
It's so damn close.
Luka or Ja Morant?
Yeah, Luka wins that one. Like that's not even fair. But I would probably would lean Trae Young because of the modern NBA.
Okay.
Like I think it's still very close, but it's just the 3-point shot's so valuable, and he's shown in this year that he can just kill it.
I'm gonna take Ja just for the fact that he might not be as good of a 3-point shooter, but he can be a good 3-point shooter. So I'll take that because I'll get the defense and then I'll get the ability to drive. Worst passer, worst 3-point shooter, but I think he'll still be effective in both those ranges. Where I don't think Trae Young's ever gonna be a good defender. John, final question to you is going to be Trae Young, Ja Morant, and then obviously throw out the question that you have for us.
Well, the analogy for me is Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. Even though Russell Westbrook averaged triple-doubles, I think Steph Curry is a better player. I think he spreads the floor as something you guys can't look up. Mm-hmm. There's no stat for that. And therefore, I think Trae Young will be a better player than Ja Morant.
All right. And then what's the question you had for us that you think is going to be that you thought was a good question?
Yeah, you have to stick to the premise.
Okay.
If you had, say, with the first pick, San Antonio had the first pick, and you had LaMarcus Aldridge, and when LaMarcus Aldridge had a no trade clause, who would you pick, Zion or Ja Morant?
Okay, and DeRozan's still on the team?
We'll just say a blank team.
Okay,
so
so
DeRozan's not there.
Okay. I would just pick Zion just for the fact that I think the talent level's there, and I think that he has more star potential than Ja Morant. And although the pairing might not work just because both guys like to work inside a ton, I would still go with the fact that Zion is just more of an unstoppable force than Ja Morant. And again, when you're talking about talent, and especially the top three, I love what you said. It doesn't matter about the fit. I don't think it matters about the fit there. I'll still take Zion.
Any team, number one, take Zion and make it fit.
Dave?
Yeah, sorry. LaMarcus Aldridge is great and all, but you're going to have some company down that low post.
Yeah, even if you got to play LaMarcus at the 5 and Zion at the 4, I'm fine with it.
Playing Zion at the 3, I still don't care.
Just give Zion the ball. Do you disagree with us? Would you take Ja?
I think it's a toss-up.
Okay.
I wouldn't jump at Zion. I'd go Ja Morant. He just does a lot of things differently than Zion and LaMarcus. There's a lot of overlap in Zion and Marcus.
Yeah.
It would be exciting to have Zion, great, but you want to win a championship. It is a business, but nobody gets paid more unless you win a championship.
True. For sure. And I think just going back to what you said and my decision making, you said you're not going to pass up a guy with a 40-inch vertical. I don't think you're going to pass up a 6'7" guy with a 44-inch vertical. So I'll go with that. But John, we appreciate you joining us for Ja Morant talk, and we hope to talk to you next month.
All right. Great fun. Thanks, guys.